Hello everybody, my name is Jacob Cavallo,
My name is Isaac Lewis.
and today we're going to talk about human growth and development.
So for growth and development, there are 5 main body systems that are always interacting. You have the skeletal system, which composes of the bones, the muscular system, the endocrine system and all the hormones that they secrete, the adipose system, and the nervous system.
So we're going to dive into each and every one of these systems, but just as an overview here, I just want to talk about how as we grow and develop with these systems, there's going to be different constraints that aren't necessarily a bad thing, it just shapes how we move. So we're going to have this pattern of change that we expect to see in each system, and that's this idea of universality. But each individual person is different, and there's going to be variability within everybody. The first system we're going to talk about is the skeletal system. Ha 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 ha. And I'm just kidding. All right, so when we talk about the skeleton, we're going to talk about how it's living tissue, and not living how I just brought him alive, but living as in it is constantly remodeling and replacing itself as we live. It is the framework of our body, it provides us support, and is responsible for how tall we are. It accounts for 98% of our height, with the only other 2% being cartilage. Our bones are going to grow in length at the epiphyseal plates, and those will close at around by 18 to 19 years. This will happen earlier in girls because they are early maturers. And we're going to see in all these systems that exercise and nutrition is very, very important to bone health. And to achieve your peak bone mass, you want to do as much as you can and put on as much bone as possible in early adult. Okay, so the next system we're going to talk about is the muscular system. So muscle tissue is our largest tissue mass in the body. It requires the most energy, but it also allows us to move. Mainly in growth and development, how muscles grow is through hypertrophy, and we're going to connect that to nutrition and exercise at the end here. And that means it's going to increase in number of sarcomeres and the length of the sarcomeres. And this is going to be the first interaction you see between two systems is going to be between the muscular system and the skeletal system, whereas muscle length will increase as bone length increases. So as you can see here, our muscle mass is going to be a decent chunk of our body weight. So at birth, we're going to be 23 to 25% of our body weight, and then as adults get into adults and older adults, it's going to be 20 to 45% body weight, which this percentage is going to vary based on your body composition or your relationship between your lean body mass and your fat mass. So talking about nutrition, and exercise, and muscle, there's this thing called sarcopenia, which is the age-related loss of muscle. And from your mid-20s to age 50, you're going to have about a 10% loss of your total muscle mass. And then after age 30, actually, it can lose 3 to 5% per decade. This is going to depend on mainly nutrition and exercise. Are you getting enough protein? Are you getting enough exercise? Are you training those muscles and breaking them down so they can build back stronger? And proper nutrition, proper exercise is going to help prevent this. It's going to possibly cause hypertrophy, stronger muscles throughout our lives to help counteract this loss. And as Dr. Wisniewski always says, the older you get, the more you have to do to stay young. We got to keep moving, guys.
All right, so the next system that we're going to talk about is the adipose system. The adipose system is used for energy storage, insulation, and protection. Adipose is used during periods of rapid growth to increase bone length and mass and muscle mass. Insulation is maintaining homeostasis within the body and protection for our internal organs. So adipose grows through hypertrophy and hyperplasia, increasing the number of adipocytes along with the size of them. There are 2 types of fat. There's essential fat, which is needed for normal CNS and organ function, and storage fat, which is the stored adipose tissue. This is the deposition of excess calories and can pose a possible constraint if there is too much storage fat present. During puberty, girls increase fat mass 2 times as much as boys. This is mainly preparing them for later in life with childbearing. Fat mass generally increases with age, and this is mainly all due to lifestyle. Exercise usually decreases with age, along with diet usually becomes a little bit more poor as we get older. Sarcopenic obesity is related to sarcopenia as you're losing muscle, but you're replacing that muscle mass with fat mass in the muscle belly itself. And the average fat mass for young normal weight adults, males is around 22 pounds, and females are generally higher at about 30.8 pounds. So the next system that we're going to talk about is the nervous system. This system controls movement and speech, is the site of thinking, analysis, and memory, and practically all cognitive function. So at birth, the brain is about 25% of the adult weight, and by age 4, it is about 80%. The increase in weight is due to the increase in the size of neurons, the increase in number of glial cells, and the increase of myelination around the neurons. So for the nervous system, there's a use it or lose it principle. Exercise improves cognitive function because it strengthens neuron connections and challenges synapses to stay strong. The more you work these synapses, the better they're going to be and more efficient they will be throughout life. Periods of rapid growth are more sensitive to extrinsic factors, particularly diet and exercise. Exercise is important for getting these neurons firing and strengthening them, helping them to grow and develop. In diet, poor nutrition has actually been shown to stunt brain growth, so proper nutrients is important for developing and growing the nervous system.
Okay, so the last system we're going to talk about is the endocrine system, which is a very, very important system because it regulates the growth and maturation of the body, and we're talking about human growth and development here. So hormones, these are chemical substances that are secreted into body fluids by glands, and they affect target cells, tissues, or organs. And excess or deficiency of hormones can disrupt our growth pattern. But we're just going to get into individual hormones here. So we have the anterior pituitary, which secretes growth hormone. Liver secretes insulin-like growth factor, or IGF-1. The thyroid gland secretes mainly thyroxine, which is the principal hormone in circulation. The gonads and the adrenal cortex secrete sex steroids, testosterone, and estrogen. The pancreas secretes insulin. So we'll go into detail more and show you that these hormones actually interact with each other, just like the systems interact with each other. So we'll start with the anterior pituitary, which secretes growth hormone. Growth hormone increases protein anabolism, so muscle size and muscle length. Growth hormone actually stimulates the liver to secrete IGF-1, which mediates the effects of growth hormone. IGF-1 is responsible for the proliferation of cartilage cells at the growth plates, so the length of our bones. So as you can see, IGF-1 is responsible for 100% of our height, and it also increases protein synthesis. So now we go up and look at thyroxine. Thyroxine is essential for the full effects of growth hormone. So we have a connection back there. But the thyroid hormone as a whole is responsible for the growth of basically the body as a whole. It's the growth of a lot of different systems. When we look at the gonads and the adrenal cortex creating the sex steroids, testosterone and estrogen. Estrogen maintains a positive calcium balance, and it actually closes the epiphyseal plates. So that is responsible for how tall we end up being. And that's why they also close earlier a little bit in growth. So we're seeing a connection back to the skeletal system. Testosterone does a lot of things. It's an androgen and increases muscle growth, connection to the muscular system, interacts with growth hormone and IGF-1. And IGF-1 is close related with the skeletal system, bringing it back to the skeletal system. Testosterone and growth hormone together actually mobilize fat, bringing it back to the adipose system. And testosterone increases the number of neurons and the number of neurotransmitters, bringing it to the nervous system. So as you can see, this is a very important system that interacts with all the other systems and interacts within itself.
So as we previously discussed, all 5 systems of growth and development are constantly interacting with each other. Starting with the endocrine system, growth hormone, testosterone, and insulin are responsible for increasing muscular mass. Growth hormone and testosterone, when they combine, they mobilize adipose tissue, which is used as the energy source for increasing muscular mass. Growth hormone triggers IGF-1, which when IGF-1 is released, it increases the length of the long bones. And as the bones increase in length, the muscles are also going to increase in length. Estrogen increases bone maturity by closing the epiphyseal plates. Testosterone increases the number and size of neurons, which will increase muscular coordination. And the muscular and adipose system make up our body composition, which is going to vary among individuals. And the skeletal system accounts for almost all of our height.
Bring everything together here. Isaac just gave another summary of how all these systems interact. And now we're going to kind of go back to what we talked about at the beginning, where as these systems grow and develop together, and if you haven't gotten anything from this, you got to get the fact that these all grow together. They don't grow individually. It happens, and they all interact with each other. And you're going to see those constraints that we talked about earlier change throughout our lifespan and as we grow. And you're going to see that similar progression or that idea of universality, but you're also going to see that variability. And what's going to mainly affect that variability of health status of people throughout life is those extrinsic factors, and that is nutrition and exercise. And as you can see, it's kind of holding everything up. It's the base of all these systems because it's extremely important. And we're going to be more susceptible to these extrinsic factors during periods of rapid growth, during right after birth and adolescence, and as we grow older and as we age. So you're going to have to pay more attention to these and be more conscientious. Our health is mainly in our hands, and we got to pay attention to nutrition and exercise across the lifespan. And you can't go wrong if you do that. So that's human growth and development for you guys.